Few game franchises are as mysterious or messed up as Five Nights at Freddy's. Over the years, the story has been splintered into 1,000 different theories and timelines. But what if there was one version that made it all make sense? From the birth of the Mimic to the fall of the Pizzaplex, this is the full story and timeline of Five Nights at Freddy's, and I promise the true story is scarier than anyone ever imagined. Our story all begins in the early 1980s with a multi-million company known as Fazbear Entertainment. This is a company that specializes in extremely high tech for the time. Now Fazbear's has several contractors working under them, but the most important one is Edwin Murray, who was working on high-tech machinery such as an animatronic called the Mimic and other cool smaller gadgets. He owns a company under Fazbear's known as Edwin Murray's Manor, a place for invention, but also a place for children's entertainment. Eventually, however, Edwin mysteriously disappears and the place gets shut down. Fazbear can't have this, however, and they want what Edwin was working on, so they send one of their employees, Arnold, to investigate and figure out where Edwin could have possibly gone. However, Arnold quickly comes to realize that the company doesn't actually seem to care about Edwin, and they just want to take literally everything he was working on for themselves. Edwin Murray and Fazbear signed a contract stating that everything Edwin had ever worked on was theirs upon termination or upon death, and they intend to fully follow through with it regardless of who could get hurt in the process. Arnold is extremely sleep deprived, and Fazbear is constantly making threats towards him. They continuously threaten to dox his pay and repo his truck, scaring Arnold into submission.
You can't fool me, though. You're just trying to snag one of those $25 gift certificates at the end of the year for outstanding performance.
What? No, I'm doing it because you guys keep threatening to dock my pay and repo my truck.
I love that enthusiasm.
Despite motion sensors detecting activity inside, Fazbear brushes it off and sends him in with a tool called the data driver, meant to gather information and unlock parts of the building. Inside the manor, Arnold finds leftover robotics, costumes, and animatronic suits, proving Edwin had worked with more than just Fazbear's. His tech reached carnivals, parks, and many other companies. Most crucially, Edwin had created the Mimic, a highly advanced endoskeleton capable of mimicking voices, behaviors, and personalities, changing suits and costumes, and being able to adapt to environments, and most importantly, to people. Through audio logs, Arnold learns Edwin originally built the Mimic for his son David. It was meant to entertain, be a maternal figure, and care for him after his wife and partner Fiona died in a tragic accident at Fall Fest.
I have to go help the Fall Fest crew, just for a few days until the installation is finished. It's hard to explain. I just have this terrible feeling like I need to be there so nothing goes wrong, just in case. Trisha will babysit David while I'm gone. I love you both, and I'll be back next week.
Edwin is now a distraught husband grieving. He loved Fiona. Fiona wasn't even supposed to be there. She was never meant to go.
Oh, why did you go? You weren't even supposed to be there. You were supposed to be here with me and David. Oh, how am I supposed to tell David that his mother is gone? How am I supposed to raise a kid on my own? His life is ruined. My life is ruined.
Edwin had built the Mimic using Fiona's memories, copying her behavior like a mirror. Two versions existed, M1, F10-N4, a version Edwin built to imitate his wife. His wife had died near MCM machinery, and it's not too far-fetched to believe that at some point she may have been possessing it. Edwin would later create another Mimic, M2, adopting his and his son's persona. Edwin was trying to put their family back together, keep them together. But tragically, something happens to David. An accident. Against the advice of Edwin's lawyers, he builds a playground for David near his warehouse where he can keep a closer eye on him. One day while his back is turned, David wanders off into the warehouse where he is tragically the victim of an accident on his birthday, passing away. In the books, it's implied he dies in a car accident, but needless to say, he dies, and this completely destroys Edwin. The Mimic, not knowing what to do, began to mimic David, sound like David, act like David.
Stop. You're not him. You're not. Stop sounding like him.
Edwin's angry and distraught. How dare the Mimic impersonate his dead child? It feels like it was mocking him, his grief. In a fit of rage, Edwin violently rips it apart and then detonates it in his basement, enraged that it would dare to cosplay as his dead child, even though that is what Edwin had trained it to do. This leaves Edwin trapped and on the brink of death. Edwin had done a bad job of destroying the Mimic, however, as just like it was programmed to do, it began to copy the violence it had witnessed, internalizing rage and becoming extremely dangerous towards everything and everyone. Yes, the Mimic had survived, and it was angry. Well, It was mimicking anger. While Arnold is retrieving data for Fazbear's, he comes across several animatronics. Jackie, the Jack-in-the-Box, Big Top, a giant DJ Music Man who tears itself out of the floor, and the nurse who manages to yank herself free from the tracks on the floor. All who Arnold realizes is really just a mimic in disguise, and all who try to kill him. He begs Fazbear to let him leave and get him out of there, but they won't.
Give me the data diver. Give me the data diver. Arnie, buddy, you're making a huge mistake.
Mimic's intelligence and the ability to imitate eventually lead to it mimicking the dispatch system, guiding Arnold, manipulating him to retrieve a data diver, a device that grants control and access to the system. Mimic wants us to escape and to contact the outside world. Arnold refuses, however, and the manor gets lit on fire, where he then attempts to flee in a car. However, the Mimic won't let him go that easy, and he jumps on the car, attacking him. The car crashes and the Mimic flees on foot, with the data driver in hand, disappearing into the distance. William Afton, a man with a family, a wife, and 3 kids. Michael, Elizabeth, and Evan. After meeting his wife at Fall Fest, where she was a dancer, they settled down in a quiet town, a place full of opportunity. But the Afton household was no dream. It was tense, broken. William was an abusive father, screaming at his wives and sons. Elizabeth was spared the worst of it, but he was a far cry from Father of the Year. Now, William Afton works for a company, Fazbear's, and has greatly enjoyed the company's success. But as things start collapsing, he starts losing money, and so he quits.
I am home.
You are home early.
I quit my job.
What about the children? We have a down payment on a new closet.
I do not know what I was thinking. I was compelled to leave my post.
This is no longer working. I am leaving.
Do not go.
May you be happy in the life you have chosen.
This causes his wife to leave him. William Afton is stressed. The business is running into financial issues. Fazbear has lost trust with the staff and management, and everything is falling apart. William thinks and realizes that he could take it all for himself. People like him more than Edwin. He could have everything. So William Afton decides to open up his own Fazbear establishment, one that will make him millions. He will reap the rewards, be famous, even be a household name. So he starts recruiting staff under the radar. He begins asking around and seeing if they can't just use teens in the springlock suits instead. The staff, who of course hate the way the company is going and their long abusive hours, are not that difficult to convince. They despise Edwin for giving them work upon work upon work, constantly starting new projects over and over and over again.
Focus on one project at a time.
They help William Afton steal Edwin's work. Fazbear tries to nip this in the bud immediately with empty threats and promises, but it's to no avail.
You can't clear out your desks. You stole my work.
Staff slowly begin moving to his company, where conditions are promised to be better, and they are promised to make more money. While Edwin was at rock bottom, William proceeded to take everything from him, not batting an eye, and running the company further into the ground. Of course, Edwin did have a little support. He had a friend, a close friend, by the name of Henry Emily, who stuck by his side and attempted to help, where Edwin would even call him Hen for short. Edwin and Henry had built and designed a lot of the suits together, including the original springlocks, while his wife Fiona had helped them design them. Henry couldn't leave a friend behind. He was almost family, but he was also running low on cash, and he also never tried to stop William Afton from what he was clearly doing. Things only kept getting worse. Funds kept getting cut. Staff kept leaving, and Edwin was spiraling. Henry was losing money, and his name was being damaged. So he looked towards William Afton, and he stood up, leaving Edwin like the others. Henry Emily began helping William suck Edwin dry for everything he had to offer, sabotaging him on multiple projects and watching him spiral in his own depression, leaving Edwin truly alone, where he would later die, most likely due to his own inventions. William Afton meets Henry Emily, a fellow genius and a father to one daughter, Charlie. In the books, Henry also has a son, but as it's not mentioned anywhere in the games for the sake of this video, he only has a daughter. William knew Henry was a genius, and he knew taking him under his wing was a good idea. They were desperate, low on cash, and high on ambition. The solution? A family diner. A place where kids could laugh, parents could relax, and animatronics could entertain. They would split it 50-50. In return, William would run the financial side, while Henry built and managed the animatronic designs, the ones that had made Murray's Manor so profitable the first time. Henry set out at once, and quickly redesigned 2 wearable springlock suits, one that looked like a yellow rabbit, and one that was a yellow bear. He was being pressured heavily by William to make them as quickly as possible, forcing him to cut corners, specifically in their safety features. These suits would be known as Spring Bonnie and Fredbear. William, just as eager, quickly drew up business plans, and in no time at all, they had opened the doors to the brand new restaurant known as Fredbear's Family Diner. Immediately, business was booming. Families had never seen anything like it, and the cash started rolling in. They were rich. This was their dream, and they were happy. Well, Henry was happy, but William didn't feel quite right. This is what he wanted, right? He had it all. A family, a best friend, money. So why didn't he feel happy? Why did he still feel so cold? Empty, almost. No matter. He'd push those feelings away and continue on his endeavor in the restaurant. Every day they'd open their doors, and William Afton would climb inside the Spring Bonnie suit, and Henry Emily would climb inside the Fredbear suit. Business was so good they decided to open a sister location and create 4 new suits. Freddy, a brown bear, Chica, a yellow chicken, Foxy, a pirate, and Bonnie, a purple bunny. They decided to automate these animatronics with endoskeletons to naturally roam around the kids. The original suits were exhausting, unfit for the long hours and the growing crowds, so they built something that wouldn't get tired or feel anything at all. But this is where it all goes terribly wrong. William still didn't feel right. Matter of fact, he felt nothing. Depressed almost. He sees kids playing, kids laughing. He stares at them coldly for almost too long at times. One day he puts on the spring Bonnie suit, approaching them. The kids run up to him, laughing excitedly, his expression cold and calculating behind the mask. He leads one of them to the employee back room, a secret back room of the diner that wasn't on any maps and conveniently had no CCTV cameras either. The kid excitedly looks up at him as he pulls a shiny knife from behind his back. Her eyes grow wide, and she screams. But not for long, as the room once again is engulfed in silence. One by one, he lures several of the other children into the secret staff room, where the laughter slowly dies, their eyes widen, confused, afraid, before his blade carves silence into the air. The floor slickens, their limbs fall still, and for the first time in months, behind the mask, William smiles. He stares at the bodies. There's only a small problem. He hadn't really thought through what he was going to do with them after the fact. He can't go to jail. He doesn't want to. He has a family and he owns a company. This would ruin him. He has to think fast. Thinking quickly, he opens the Foxy suit, Chica suit, Bonnie suit, and Freddy suit. Luckily, their endoskeletons aren't in them, and roughly he begins stuffing and contorting the 4 little bodies inside. He zips them back up and stares triumphantly at his handiwork. No one would know. How would they know? You can't even tell. All you can see is a little blood behind their eyes. It's now growing late, and some parents are becoming uneasy. They begin searching frantically for their missing kids, calling out to them, but only silence answers. William pretends to help as he and Henry look around, and the cops are then called. But after hours, they find nothing. Questions are asked, voices are raised, as the parents look towards William and Henry turns to look towards William. They all think, perhaps it could have been William. It points to him. Where was he? Maybe he did it. Maybe he did something. He was a strange one. But he wasn't nearly as friendly as Henry and Emily, and he was missing for a decent chunk of the day. But after no proof forever, and no bodies, this is dubbed a missing children's case, and no charges were ever filed. Of course, the sister establishment immediately shuts it down. Missing children are not a good look. Henry is stressed now. How could this have happened, he asks William, but William is now in his own world, staring cold and calculating. He likes how it made him feel. He likes seeing their fear, hearing them cry, and he wants to do it again. So he decided to create 4 more suits, new and improved ones. But William hid something in these versions. A hole. An opening. Perfect to fit a child inside. He looked at the suit smiling fondly. Now he'll have somewhere to put all the bodies, for not if, but when he does it again. The Afton family unravels. After the closure of Fredbear's, William shifts gears. He creates a new company called Afton Robotics. It's a side venture. Henry agrees to it, unaware of William's real motives. This time, instead of a family diner, William built something darker. A rental service for animatronics. A place where the machines could be hired for birthday parties. A place where William could kill in secret. His pride and joy is Circus Baby. An animatronic design with an incredible detail.
She can dance. She can sing. She's equipped with a built-in helium tank for inflating balloons right at her fingertips. She can take song requests. She can even dispense ice cream.
She can sing. She can dance. She can even dispense ice cream. She's beautiful, but hidden deep within her programming is something Henry doesn't know about. William has given Baby a purpose. One directive, locked in code. One left alone with a singular child, dispense ice cream, and then grab. Though she only ever does this once. William's children often come by and watch Afton work. They love the animatronics. His kids, the 2 youngest, Evan and Elizabeth, are intrigued greatly and observe and play, while Michael is present, but slightly distant as he watches his father. William knows the animatronics are dangerous. He doesn't want his own kids loving them. They weren't made for them. They were made so he could harm others. But he cares about Evan. No, he cares too much. What could he do? Every day Evan's with those blasted animatronics. That's my son. Nothing bad can happen to him. So William comes up with an idea. One, to make sure that Evan is terrified of the animatronics for good. He gives Evan, his youngest son, a Fredbear plush, but not as a gift, as it has a camera in its eye for constant surveillance, so he can constantly watch his son. William then slinks off to a secret room inside his house. He begins inventing and producing a high-frequency sound wave in this room, one that the naked ear cannot hear, but could greatly impact your dreams, twist them, warp them, to fit what William wanted his son to see, the horrors William wanted his son to see. Every night, William would sit in this room and play these sounds in Evan's room as he slept, creating nightmare versions of the animatronics, the ones Evan thought he loved, the ones that he thought were his friends. He would run up to a door and close it. If he saw one sweat drip down his face, he would run to the closet and the bed panicking. Night after night, William sat in his darkened room, flooding Evan's sleep with nightmare frequencies. And with each morning, Evan grew colder. The pizzeria, once his playground, became a house of monsters, his one biggest fear. Now, Michael thought this was funny. I mean, what a baby. Scared of a stuffed bear? A chicken? It was pathetic, really. He's harboring resentment. His dad ignores him, clearly likes both his younger siblings far more than Michael. So he lets his frustration and anger out on his younger brother. As Evan wakes up from his nightmares, there his older brother is, tormenting him with the Foxy mask, hiding under his bed, around corners, laughing as Evan cries. William notices the behavior, but he never stopped it. I mean, the scarier Evan was, the better, right? It was all to keep Evan safe, William whispered to himself. You'll understand it when you're older. A few days have passed, and now it's Evan's birthday. Michael has arranged to be at the diner because, of course he has, but Evan doesn't want it. He doesn't care. He's scared, terrified of the animatronics. Michael bangs on the door. Hurry up, loser, you're gonna be late. Evan doesn't answer, and Michael barges in and drags him to the diner, Evan kicking and crying the whole way. Michael brought 3 of his friends along with him, all teenage boys who think tormenting a child is hilarious. Evan screams, I don't want to go, as the boys pick him up, dragging him inside the empty diner. I think he wants to give Fredbear a kiss, Michael teases. We should bring them mouth to mouth. With that, the 4 boys hoist him up, placing his head and half of his body inside of Fredbear's mouth. Evan kicks and screams, No, stop, I don't like this, I don't want this, Michael, please. Evan's crying and snot-faced as the boys laugh cruelly. Something that wasn't mentioned earlier is that the suits are spring-locked. This means if they get wet, or if the person wearing them wiggles or breathes too much, they could reset into their default positions, which is closed. Sadly for Evan, he's hysterically sobbing. The springs loosen with his tears, and with a deafening crunch, clamp shut on his head, silencing him as his body goes limp. Michael and his friends fall silent, blood pooling from Fredbear's mouth. Michael panics. He didn't mean for this to happen. The boys try to prop in the animatronic, but to no avail. Michael sprints back home and alerts his dad, who rushes to the diner. The police and the ambulance arrive, and they rush to the hospital, where Evan remains in a coma. Every day, the family comes to visit him, and every day the doctor shakes their head. Evan is in a constant state of fear in this coma, plagued by the same dreams he's been having for months. But something's slightly different. All the other animatronics are gone. It's only him versus Nightmare Fredbear, the same animatronic his brother had forced him into, the same one that was going to be responsible for his death. The family stands in silence, staring at Evan's body. He's not going to make it, the doctor tells them. If you have any last words, I'd say them now. Michael says his goodbyes first. He says softly, Can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me. I'm sorry. Before he then leaves the room, leaving his father to say his goodbyes. William looks at his youngest son. This wasn't supposed to happen. I did everything right. No, it can't be. He holds his son's hand. You're broken. I'm still here. I will put you back together. He hears the heart rate monitor falter as Evan flatlines, and William quietly leaves the room. If things weren't bad before, they are definitely bad now. The diner has officially been shut down, and William is spiraling. Henry has become distant, ghosting his calls and texts, not wanting to be associated with William anymore, and William, angrily, looks for someone to blame. He can't take it. His life is ruined. He did everything right. Why is this happening to him? It's Michael. It's all Michael. This is all his fault. He went too far, pushed the joke too hard. Everyone would still be if it was not for Michael. William becomes enraged. I was a good dad. He takes Evan's body into the woods, experimenting on him day in and day out. He will save him. He will put him back together again. Tension's rising. He lashes out at Michael constantly. It's all your fault. It is all your fault. Michael feels guilty. He never wanted to kill his brother, but he's equally as angry. His father never did anything, never tried to stop him. He didn't know. He never told him. How dare he blame him? William runs back to the closed down and abandoned diner. He takes anything he can find. Bats, chairs, his bare hands, and begins beating the Fredbear animatronic. Stupid, he yells. It's all his fault. Evan's dead. It's all their fault. He beats it until it's destroyed in a pile of limp animatronic parts before beating it some more. He then takes Evan's body and shoves it inside the suit. Come back, he yells. Please come back. But of course, this didn't bring back his son, and William was still enraged. William's losing it, and his remaining child Elizabeth snagging isn't helping. You see, Elizabeth isn't scared of the animatronics. William never treated her the same as Evan or Michael. She's naive. She knows her brother died, but she's not aware of all the gruesome details. You see, Elizabeth really likes the circus baby animatronic. She looks like her, and she wants to play with her. Every single day she visits the facility with her dad and watches the other children run and have fun, and every day she begs her father to go see her.
You have to to let me inside the room. Daddy, why won't you let me play with her? Daddy, you let the other children go see her. Why won't you let me go? Daddy, just once let me go play with her. She's so pretty and shiny. Didn't you make her just for me?
Every single day, the answer, a resounding no. One day, however, he turns back to work and talks to potential buyers, and Elizabeth, in a fit of defiance, uses this moment to sneak away from her father, where she then goes to find Baby.
Daddy isn't watching. Don't tell Daddy that I'm here. I wanted to watch your show too. I don't know why he won't let me come see you. You're wonderful. Where did the other children go?
It's silent, almost too silent, before Baby dispenses ice cream, playing a jingle, and snatches Elizabeth, pulling her inside. The other kids come rushing in, drowning out her screams and wails as she slowly suffocates, painfully being crushed inside of Baby's stomach. She must have been panicking inside of Baby before she passed. It was her father. She died knowing that her father knew what Baby was capable of. Elizabeth died knowing her father was a killer. She died knowing this was all William's fault. William turns around, looking towards his feet. His daughter is gone. He calls out, scanning the crowd, looking around, before his gaze falls on Baby, and she blankly stares back.
Didn't you make her just for me? Daddy, why won't you let me play with her?
It must have been her, William thinks. How could he have been so stupid? If she snuck off, that's the only place she could have gone. William closes the facility immediately and quickly hauls Baby to the back for questioning. Speak, he demands. She must know what happened, where his daughter is. And then Baby speaks.
I would always count the children. I'm not sure why. I was always acutely aware of how many there were in the room with me. 2, then 3, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 2, then none. They usually played together in groups of 2 or 3. I was covered in glitter. I smelled like birthday cake. There were 2, then 3, then 5, then 4. I can do something special. Did you know that? I can make ice cream. Although I only did it once. There were 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. Something happened when there was one, a little girl, standing by herself. I was no longer myself, and I stopped singing. My stomach opened, and there was ice cream. I couldn't move, at least, not until she stepped closer. There was screaming for a moment, but only for a moment. Then other children rushed in again, but they couldn't hear her over the sounds of their own excitement. I still hear her sometimes. Why did that happen?
William instantly shuts the establishment down, and the Upton family falls apart even more. William is rageful. He's lost everything. No one trusts him, and he can't find his business partner Henry anywhere. Too many missing kids, too many fingers pointed towards him. Everyone blames him. It's not his fault. No, it's not his fault. Michael pushed too far. It's not his fault. Elizabeth didn't listen. It's not his fault those kids went missing. He couldn't control it. Why is everyone blaming him? The constant fighting, the cold stares. He's not the monster here. It's their fault for pushing him too far. They're being unreasonable. William's spile is growing angrier with each passing day. He wishes it was Michael who died in those suits. He wants it to have been Michael. Meanwhile, Henry Emily is in a similar boat. His reputation is damaged, and he's struggling to pick up the pieces and fix his crumbling life. His once profitable business had plummeted, so he decides to open a new establishment for a fresh start. One that doesn't include his deranged ex-business partner, William. He's almost positive William had something to do with the missing kids and wants nothing to do with him. He scraps the 4 old animatronics and begins designing new ones. Toy versions. Brighter, friendlier, safer. But he's still worried. William could return. William could destroy everything again. How would he solve this? Make sure William Afton could never come near him again, could never hurt another child again. He thinks for a while before having a genius idea. Facial recognition. These new animatronics would scan your face, and if you're not supposed to be there, they would alert security. So, he sets to work, and it's done. He still feels slightly uneasy though, so he builds a separate animatronic, a tall one, specifically designed to watch his daughter, Charlie. This will be her protector. This animatronic will make sure nothing bad ever happens to her, and with that, he places it inside a box, leaving the top open, and names it Puppet. Henry leans back smiling. Maybe his life has started looking up again, after all. But Of course not. William sees the paper, and he reads about a new Fazbear location opening up. He thinks to himself, my old business partner, I'm a co-owner, and he has to let me in. I helped him. He owes it to me. He can't just shut me out. Not after everything I did for him. After everything I've lost, this could be the break William after needs to keep his life from spiraling further into madness. Come on, you know you can't be here. Don't make this more difficult than it has to be. William pleads and begs. It's me, Henry. But Henry is absolute and firm. Leave now, William, he says sternly, before I call the police. It's not my fault you're crazy, William. Take some accountability. It's all your fault. Not Michael's, not mine, and not your dead children. Take a look in the mirror. You're the problem here. Angrily, William is forced to drive away, stewing in his feelings. Henry breathes a sigh of relief as he enters the diner again, feeling that he's finally gotten rid of William Afton for good. William storms home. Leave the boy alone. He's had a rough night, a relative on the couch tells him, but he ignores them, banging on Michael's door, desperate for an outlet for his growing anger. How dare you lock me out? I'll find you. William goes around the back, only to find Michael has snuck out again, through his window. Run off again to the new Fazbear location, in search of answers. He'll be sorry when he gets back, William mutters, storming back inside. He's furious, betrayed. How dare Henry do this to him? He has no right. It's his company too. This isn't fair. It isn't right. I deserve a say too. Henry would have never made it this far without him. He would still be at that bankrupt manor with Edwin, or worse, he could have been dead. I practically saved his life. William seethed. I gave him everything. He paces angrily, his footsteps growing louder and louder before he snaps. I'll get him back, he vows. He'll get what's coming to him. In a fit of rage, William drives back to the diner. He's not sure what he wants to do, but he knows he wants to hurt Henry, like Henry hurt him. He pulls up, looking around. Henry's nowhere to be seen, but then his eyes fall on her. Charlie, Henry's daughter, locked in the rain outside of the diner. William lost his kids. Why does Henry deserve her? Henry deserves this for shutting him out, for ruining his life and his reputation. He knows of the puppet from the last visit. He knows why it was built. He quietly sneaks out from his car and closes the puppet box, oh so softly, placing a smaller box on top of it. That way it won't be able to get out. Won't be able to save her. Charlie turns around and runs up to William. She knows him, and though her father told her to stay away, it's cold and dark, and for some reason she can't get inside the building. William holds her hand as she gratefully squeezes it and leads her to the back alley. She shivers slightly as William pauses, staring at her, before pulling a knife from behind his back. Over and over and over and over again, until he's satisfied, laughing, until she's not moving anymore. This is what Henry deserves. It's all his fault. He leaves her there to die, in the alley, while he climbs back in the car, speeding away, laughing to himself. The puppet throws itself up, trying desperately to unlodge itself from the closed box. It needs to protect Charlie. She might be in danger. Eventually, with enough effort, it throws itself upwards and manages to dislodge the cover, crawling out, looking around for where she is. She's nowhere to be seen. It searches frantically, but the rain slows it down, and when it finally finds her body, it realizes he was far too late. With that, it lays down next to her to die. However, Charlie isn't done yet, and her soul becomes fused to the puppet's body. Her one goal now, protect the other children. Henry shows up just mere moments after William has left. He climbs out of the car in the rain and notices the puppet box open, so he runs in search of his daughter. After not too much looking, he finds her body, cold and lifeless on the ground. He hugs her close, crying. Who could have done this? He knows who could have done this. There's only one monster. He knows. Henry's enraged, hurt. How dare William do this? Henry decides to keep the business open, but goes on a much-needed break, and he seemingly disappears for the next few months. No word on what he's doing, or when he'll be back. William and Michael's fighting is non-stop. William yells at the boy, mentally and even physically abusing him. He blames Michael for being the start to everything bad. It's Michael's fault. Angrily, he drags Michael to his mom's house. Take the boy, he yells. If you don't, I'll throw him out. They fight before she reluctantly allows Michael to stay with her, where he then changes his last name to Smits. Michael's furious. How dare he blame me for everything? He's the monster. He was always his father's least favorite, taking the brunt of the punishments, the beatings, and the verbal abuse. But Michael never gives up searching. He sneaks out constantly, looking for answers, trying to figure out what really happened to all those children throughout the years. His and his mother's relationship is strained. She loves him, but wants nothing to do with William, and definitely wants nothing to do with any of the animatronics. On top of that, she does harbor a small amount of resentment. Michael should have known better than to bully the youngest like that. He was wrong. Feeling unwanted by both parents, Michael comes home less and less, until one night he doesn't come back at all, and his mother doesn't call. Meanwhile, William isn't satisfied. He liked killing Charlie, loved it, but he wanted to ruin Henry, and he wanted to kill again. So William takes his old spring bounty suit from Fredbear's diner and puts it on, laughing to himself. How could Henry be so stupid? He knew the droid's facial recognition wouldn't recognize him if he was wearing this. It was almost too easy. Child's play. With that, he goes back to the diner, and as you may have guessed,
Hello. What on earth are you doing there? Didn't you get the memo place is closed down, at least for a while. Someone used one of the suits. We had a spare in the back, a yellow one. Someone used it. Now none of them are acting right. Listen, just finish your shift. It's safer than trying to leave in the middle of the night. We have one more event scheduled for tomorrow, a birthday. You'll be on day shift. Wear your uniform. Stay close to the animatronics and make sure they don't hurt anyone, okay? For now, just make it through the night. When the place eventually opens again, I'll probably take the night shift myself. Okay, good night and good luck.
As 5 more children vanished, Spring Bonnie smiled in the dark. The cycle had begun all over again. But here, William ran into a problem. He wanted to kill 5 children, but he only had 4 available suits that would fit children inside, so he took the last one, a girl by the name of Cassidy, and brought her back to where he had left the demolished Fredbear suit. He couldn't just let her go. She saw what happened. She was bleeding from the knife wounds, but somehow her chest was still rising and falling, her eyes half open. He opened the Fredbear suit, pushing Evan's decaying body up into Fredbear's head. They are both small children, so he can make this work. He shoves her inside, cramply, into Fredbear's stomach, but she moves. Squirms. What? He didn't realize she was still alive. She opens her eyes, but William uses this moment to manually pull the springlock pin, impaling her on over a dozen spikes as she screams, and then goes limp. The puppet. Its job to protect felt like it had failed. Hated seeing more children die to this cruel monster, so she went around, now possessed by Charlie, and fused the children's souls with the same animatronics they were stuffed into, giving them life. Now with their corpses attached to the endoskeletons, they could ignore their programming. They could walk, attack, and more importantly, get revenge. She does this with the toy animatronics as well, and now they have an army with one purpose: kill William Afton. And so for years, every night, they would wander into the office to see if it was William Afton, and each night they would try to kill the night guard, thinking it was their killer. The company shrugged this off, even with phone guy Ralph at the time saying,
"You're only the second guard to work at that location. The first guy finished his week, but complained about conditions. We switched him over to the day shift. So, hey, lucky you, right? Mainly he expressed concern that certain characters seemed to move around at night and even attempted to get into his office. Now, from what we know, that should be impossible. That restaurant should be the safest place on Earth. So while our engineers don't really have an explanation for this, the working theory is that the robots were never given a proper night mode. So when it gets quiet, they think they're in the wrong room. So then they go try to find where the people are, and in this case, that's your office. You see, there may be a minor glitch in the system, something about robots seeing you as an endoskeleton without its costume on and wanting to stuff you into a suit. So hey, we've given you an empty Freddy Fazbear head. Problem solved.
The animatronics were getting frustrated. They felt as if they might run out of time. They attacked more frequently, broke more often. They wanted William. Toy Chica lashed out and bit a child.
Where's my beak? Lodged in your forehead, of course.
And the building was shut down as a result.
Hey, good job, Night 5. Keep a close eye on things tonight, okay? From what I understand, the building is on lockdown. No one is allowed in or out, especially concerning any previous employees. When we get it all sorted out, we may move you to the day shift. A position just became available. We don't have a replacement for your shift yet, but we're working on it. We're going to try to contact the original restaurant owner. I think the name of the place was Fredbear's Family Diner or something like that. It was closed for years, though. I doubt we'll be able to track anybody down.
They managed to track Henry down, and he came back, but to his dismay, the location was forced shut down, and they opened a new, smaller one, featuring 4 suits he had already built. Chica, Bonnie, Foxy, and Freddy. They would sing and dance, and because it was only Henry, there would be no more incidents. Right? Meanwhile, William is still spiraling. He tries to find his wife, to beg for a second chance, but he can't find her anywhere. She's changed everything, and as far as he knows, moved across the country. He goes back to the closed Afton Robotics and creates 3 new animatronics, brighter versions of the old ones. One he names Funtime Foxy, and one he calls Funtime Freddy. The third, however, is brand new, a dancing doll. He names this doll Ballora, built in the spitting image of his wife, who would dance at Fall Fest. William cries. He even makes her sound like his wife.
Why do you hide inside your walls when there is music in my halls? All I see is an empty room, no more joy, an empty tomb.
He can't have his wife, but even this is better. At least she'll still feel close by. He looked at Baby and decided to add her. Now, with 4 working animatronics, he reopened, but solely as a rental company named Circus Baby Entertainment and Rentals. No parties, no pizza, no danger. William sat in his office, staring at Evan's bed through the monitor, in silence, for the rest of the night. Not in regret, but in twisted pride. Several days later, under the dark of night, William sneaks into Freddy's. He wants to destroy the animatronics, the same ones that brought him so much pain, the ones he blames for everything. His divorce, his 2 dead children, and his reputation being ruined. William, equipped with a crowbar and axe, advances on the 4 animatronics, and one by one, he tells them to follow him, where he then leads them to the back room and aggressively begins tearing them apart, taking his emotions out on every animatronic. He swings, over and over and over again, until the suits are unrecognizable. Unknown to William, however, these 4 suits have been haunted, and are now controlled by his previous victims, and now they are free and enraged. He took from them again, hurt them again. He had killed them again. They appear before William with one goal: kill him. He did this to them. They were so young. They didn't deserve all this. He had destroyed their families. They approach him, backing him into a corner. They watch as he shakes in fear, the first real emotion he's ever really shown. He runs around the room yelling, "Get back!" But they don't listen, dully approaching him. He glances around and notices the old spring Bonnie suit, the same one he had killed them in. He hardly slips it on and stands towering over them, laughing, stepping towards the ghost children. "I fear no one," he yells. The ghost children look up and smile, seeing the water running down the ceiling and leaky pipes. You see, somehow William forgot the one sacred rule, the same one that had resulted in his son Evan's death. Don't get the spring locks wet. Afton looks up with the children as a single drop of water falls slowly through time, landing directly on the exposed locks as time seems to stand still. William is silenced, whimpering in pain as he cries out to the children, who turn their back on him and disappear. The next morning, Henry walks into the building. Noticing the disturbed animatronic suits, he thinks of the worst before hearing cries and whimpers. He quickly runs into the back of the building, where he finds the spring Bonnie suit moving slightly, only to realize it was William. Thinking help has finally arrived, William reaches out for Henry, but Henry stares coldly, indifferently at William's writhing form. "Please, Henry," he begs. "We were friends, co-owners. We built this together. I don't want to die. I'll die if you don't help me." Henry says nothing, as William calls out to him. Henry knows he will never escape on his own, and will probably die. As William cries and calls out, Henry snaps, a rage so strong consuming him. "William ruined my life. You ruined my life," he says. "All those children, William, was it you?" Silence. "Answer me," he yells. William stares up at him, struggling to breathe. "It wasn't my fault," he gasps. "Please, Henry." Henry turns his back, closing the door, sealing the room shut behind a brick wall as William suffocates inside the suit. It's what he deserves, Henry thinks. William never admitted to it, but Henry knew deep down inside he killed all those children. He killed Charlie, watched them bleed out, and laughed. And with that, Henry leaves William to his karma. Michael is still looking for his father, for the truth about what was really going on all those years. He hasn't heard from him in quite a while. He asks Henry, but Henry says nothing, instead shaking his head, saying he has no idea. But this doesn't stop Michael, and so he heads over to Afton Robotics to see if his father is there. During several nights there, the animatronics speak to him. They tell him secrets. They tell him they are alive, some horrors that they've had to endure. Baby tells him what happened to his sister, while he hides under the desk.
I would always count the children. I'm not sure why. I was always acutely aware of how many there were in the room with me. 2, then 3, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 2. Something happened when there was one, a little girl, standing by herself. I was no longer myself. And I stopped singing. My stomach opened, and there was ice cream. I couldn't move, at least, not until she stepped closer. There was screaming for a moment, but only for a moment. Then other children rushed in again, but they couldn't hear her over the sounds of their own excitement. I still hear her sometimes. Why did that happen?
And Michael is shocked. He's certain now his father is even worse of a monster than he could have ever imagined. He knows the animatronics are possessed, and he wants to help. He's about to leave, as his father isn't anywhere to be found, but Baby begs him to stay, leading him into a secret room, designed specifically for animatronics, to carve out their insides.
You are in the scooping room now. Funtime Foxy has already been here today. Funtime Freddy has already been here today. Ballora has already been here today. Circus Baby has already been here today. I've been out before, but they always put me back. They always put us back inside. There's nowhere for us to hide here. There is nowhere to go when we look like this. But if we looked like you, then we could hide. If we looked like you, then we would have somewhere to go. The scooper only hurts for a moment.
The animatronics, Ballora, Baby, Funtime Freddy, and Foxy, turn themselves into an amalgamation, but now as one animatronic, known as Ennard, and they climb inside of Michael's body, where they then walk out of the building, unsuspected. But there's a problem. Michael's a human, and at that, he's a dead human. His body can't support them forever. It's decaying, attracting bugs. On top of that, Baby is annoying. She's bossy and controlling, and the group doesn't want to deal with her. So Ennard climbs out, leaving Michael to die, and retreat down the sewers, evicting Baby in the process. But Baby doesn't leave Michael. She stands by his side, chanting, "You will not die," as the lights flicker out of his eyes. "You will not die. You will not die. You will not die."
You won't die. You won't die, you won't die. You won't die, you won't die. You won't die, you won't die. You won't die.
Over and over and over again. She's his sister, after all. Michael realizes it's his sister. He fights, clinging on to life, and stands, looking around. But Baby is gone.
Father, it's me, Michael. I did it. I found it. It was right where you said it would be. They were all there. They didn't recognize me at first, but then they thought I was you. And I found her. I put her back together, just like you asked me to. She's free now. But something is wrong with me. I should be dead, but I'm not. I've been living in shadows. There is only one thing left for me to do now. I'm going to come find you. I'm going to come find you.
Michael awakes, weakened but alive, as he looks around confused, but relieved. His jaw tightens. He knew it was his father. It was William who murdered his siblings. It was William who killed all those children. Michael wants to stop him. He needs to make sure his father can never hurt another soul. But Michael doesn't know how to stop him. He hasn't seen his father in years, and quite frankly, has no clue where to start looking. So he disappears until the year 2023, where he catches wind of a new location opening, one based on the myths and horrors of the previous locations. A horror place, Fazbear Frights, where people would come to experience the fear themselves. And quickly, Michael packs his stuff, hitches across town, and applies, securing the job of night security once again. But there is a problem with this location. The company desperately wants to find original artifacts and original tapes, and sadly, for Michael, one original animatronic still survives behind the walls.
Hey man, okay, I have some awesome news for you. First of all, we found some vintage audio training cassettes. Dude, these are like prehistoric. I think they were like training tapes for like other employees or something like that. So I thought we could like have them playing like over the speakers as people walk through the attraction. Dude, that makes this feel legit, man. But I have an even better surprise for you. You're not gonna believe this. We found one. A real one.
The company tears down the wall Henry had built 30 years ago, releasing a monster. William is free, and the second Michael Afton sees him, his blood runs cold. He can feel it. He knows. It's his father. He comes in a few shifts later with a match, determined to end his father once and for all, finish what Henry started, and so he sets the place ablaze. Michael escapes, running towards the exit, turning to see his father burning in the smoke, staring at him as he dives out of the building, leaving his father to die. The spirits, seeing Afton burn, become happy and decide to rest, along with Cassidy. All of them ascend, having one last birthday party before finding peace, leaving Evan Afton and the puppet behind, both who are still unable to find happiness, still being bitter and upset by William Afton's actions. Evan was bitter and vengeful, and the puppet wanted to make sure none of William's creations were left to torment more innocent children. William Afton was burning, and the fire lit by his own son, pieces of his suit falling to the floor as he struggled towards the exit, his head splitting and him losing pieces and chunks off of his suit. But Michael had made a grave error. Michael had been near an exit, and he had seen Michael flee as the fire spread, meaning he was also near an exit. He was free. His eyes set on the exit. He runs, feeling the cold breeze of the outside air hit him. He laughs. Michael can't do anything right. He was going to kill Michael. He was going to kill Henry. Meanwhile, Henry Emily, still keeping a low profile, heard about the fire. He heard about what Michael did, and he knows Springtrap didn't die. On top of that, he's heard rumors, and he knows the animatronics are still restless, free-roaming, seeking revenge, but not knowing how to get it. They're spread out around the city, state, country. He's not really sure, but he knows he can't just leave them out there. He's destroyed as many as he can, but there are still more, the ones William made. He rolls over every night, turning restlessly. How are they alive? How is any of this possible? If all the other victims are out there, perhaps his daughter Charlie is still out there. He sits up in a panic. He has to find a way to bring them all together again, to destroy them once and for all, to kill William Afton once and for all. His poor, sweet, innocent daughter is caught in the puppet, and he wants more than anything to figure out how to capture her soul and set her free. She doesn't deserve this. She deserves to be happy. She was only a child, caught up in the madness. And so, Henry Emily sets to work. He takes out funds and opens up a brand new location called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place. He builds this place over the remains of the Murray's Manor to save money. Here, he hopes to lure everyone together, as he knows the animatronics are looking for William, and he knows William is looking for Henry and Michael. He builds a secret base underneath the diner, where he can be undetected, and sets to work on a brand new animatronic. This animatronic is like Freddy, but has a cleaner look, is black, and has a star on his chest. This animatronic's sole purpose is to recapture Charlie's soul, so she doesn't have to suffer anymore. He names this animatronic Lefty. One, because of his damaged left eye, but this also stood for something much bigger. Lure, encapsulate, fuse, transport, and extract, which is exactly what Henry wanted to do to the puppet and Charlie. Lure the puppet near Lefty, keep the puppet inside him, fuse them together, transport them back to the diner, and then extract Charlie's soul, once and for all. Complicated, but Henry knew it would work. He was a genius, after all. And with that, Henry set out flyers, asking for volunteers, hoping one might reach Michael Afton, but knowing at the end of the day, it didn't really matter who took the fall. It was a necessary sacrifice. Luckily for them, Michael did see the news. He saw the flyers. He knew it was Henry calling for help. He had to go, make sure this ended for good, to make sure there were no other children connected to the animatronics, to figure out what caused this, and how it's actually possible for them to be alive. So Michael starts and applies, and miraculously, through the dozens of other applications, they select his. During the day, Michael manages the pizza place, buying new items and managing lawsuits and injuries. It's a big hit, and the children are happy. But during the night, animatronics show up, one by one, stumbling to the only place they recognized, a pizzeria. A Fazbear pizzeria, built over the original Murray's Manor, where perhaps, maybe, they could finally get revenge. Scraptrap sees this news from hiding as well, and knows it was Henry. Henry was the only one who could have opened a new establishment, and his blood boils with rage. It's all his fault, William yells. If he had let me back in, it wouldn't have gotten this far. If he had let me in, my wife would have come back. If he had let me in and saved me from the bleeding out, I wouldn't have turned into this wretched beast. So Scraptrap drags himself back up and trudges under the darkness of night towards the new pizzeria. Perhaps his son would be there, he thinks, laughing. I'm going to kill Henry, and I'm going to kill Michael for what they did to me. Throughout the night, Michael meets with many animatronics, almost all who he recognizes. He saw Molten Freddy, which he knew was a combination of Funtime Foxy, Funtime Freddy, and Ballora, who reminded him of his mother. He then met with Scrap Baby, and knew immediately who she was. His sister. Then he met Lefty, and stared at him, confused. Lefty looks new, and he's personally never seen him, but he's an animatronic, and so Michael decides to let him through. Then Michael's jaw drops as he stares at the animatronic sitting in the chair across from him, staring at him, beaten, burned, but somehow still smiling. Scraptrap, or as Michael knew him, William Afton. Father, he murmurs under his breath. How? William doesn't talk, but he smiles. Michael finishes hastily, allowing Scraptrap inside before slamming the door, breathing heavily. How is he alive? I watched him burn. At least, I think I watched him burn. Michael sits, head in hands. I thought I stopped him. He needs to think of a plan, and quickly, as he knows what his father is capable of. What his father did. He wants to reach out to Henry to ask for help. He knows Henry is somewhere close by, but he searched everywhere and he still can't find him. But then he remembers his trainer kept reminding him about Saturday.
Great job. It looks like you're getting the hang of this. Now let's just focus on getting you through your first week. There's a big party here Saturday, and you should view that day as your ultimate test. Make it through Saturday, and you will have proven yourself as the successful entrepreneur that we all know you can be. Don't forget Saturday. You want them all to be in one place.
Saturday, Michael thinks. Henry must have a plan. He prays he does. And so he gets to work, closing the doors, setting up the pizzeria, and making sure everyone remains in their spots until Saturday. Waiting for the party on Saturday. Saturday comes, but the animatronics are more ruthless, more restless. They want Michael dead. Why hadn't he died the first time at Afton Robotics? Why had Baby saved him? They wanted revenge and wanted to take it out on anyone they could find. Scraptrap slunk through the vents, aggressive as ever, as he felt like he was running out of time. Running out of time to punish Michael. Michael deserved death. Michael deserved to suffer. He thinks back to all those years. Elizabeth's death, Michael's relentless bullying, his wife leaving. It all started with Michael. If Michael was never born, none of this would have ever happened. He screamed in frustration, attacking with everything he has. He's fast, but Michael's faster. He runs through the vents, quickly forcing himself through them, fighting for his life as the room heats up to an undying temperature. It's over. He's going to die, until suddenly, he hears it.
Connection terminated. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Elizabeth, if you still even remember that name. But I'm afraid you've been misinformed. You are not here to receive a gift, nor have you been called here by the individual you assume, although you have indeed been called. You have all been called here, into a labyrinth of sounds and smells, misdirection, and misfortune. A labyrinth with no exit, a maze with no prize. You don't even realize that you are trapped. Your lust for blood has driven you in endless circles, chasing the cries of children in some unseen chamber, always seeming so near, yet somehow out of reach. But you will never find them. None of you will. This is where your story ends. And to you, my brave volunteer, who somehow found this job listing not intended for you. Although there was a way out planned for you, I have a feeling that's not what you want. I have a feeling that you are right where you want to be. I am remaining as well. I am nearby. This place will not be remembered, and the memory of everything that started this can finally begin to fade away, as the agony of every tragedy should. And to you monsters trapped in the corridors, be still, and give up your spirits. They don't belong to you. For most of you, I believe there is peace, and perhaps more, waiting for you after the smoke clears. Although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole. So don't keep the devil waiting, friend. My daughter, if you can hear me, I knew you would return as well. It's in your nature to protect the innocent. I'm sorry that on that day, the day you were shut out and left to die, no one was there to lift you up into their arms, the way you lifted others into yours. And then, what became of you? I should have known you wouldn't be content to disappear. Not my daughter. I couldn't save you then, so let me save you now. It's time to rest, for you, and for those you have carried in your arms. This ends, for all of us, in communication.
Henry states his fears, regrets, and apologizes to everyone but one. William. William is getting what he deserves. The building explodes in flames, lighting everything and everyone in a blaze. Michael sees the flames rushing him as his father lunges, but he doesn't run. It's for the better. And with that, the basement explodes, destroying every animatronic in it, setting their souls free from their suits, where they then find peace. Michael dies, wanting to join his siblings, wanting to apologize, wanting nothing more than to be a family again. He ascends, seeing them and finding peace. Henry dies, knowing he helped create these abominations, but knowing his daughter Charlie won't feel pain anymore, knowing none of the children will feel pain anymore. Henry also ascends. William often dies, screaming in rage and screaming profanities, unable to reach Michael or the bright light at the end of the tunnel, his family turning their backs on him. He struggles as he watches everyone die, eventually growing weak in frustration, staring at them sadly. After a long moment, "I'm sorry," he whispers. The first "I'm sorry" William has ever said in his life, before he's engulfed in flames. But unlike the other souls, his soul doesn't find peace or ascend. It's dragged down, just like Henry said it would be, by one of his victims specifically. Golden Freddy isn't happy. The soul of William's youngest child, Evan, isn't happy. He was twisted and contorted painfully, killed by the very man that was meant to love him. He is rageful. William is dead, but it's not enough. Evan won't let his soul escape too. He wants him to suffer like he made him suffer, cry like he cried, bleed like he bled, and beg like he begged. Evan wanted to break him like he had broken so many others, so Evan created a purgatory of William's darkest fears, all his victims throughout the years, to constantly torture him. Him versus the animatronics. Night after night, month after month, year after year, he watches as he screams, cries, and dies, over and over and over and over and over again. But still, this isn't enough. Evan still isn't happy. He still can't move on like the other souls have. This was his father, a man who was supposed to love him. He was a kid, subject to years and years of abuse. His father never helping him, didn't save his life, and encouraged his brother's relentless bullying. In his eyes, William had killed him. He adds even more animatronics. Evan watches him suffer, the weeks passing in a blur. No one's sure how much time has passed, but Golden Freddy is still rageful. It's not enough. He needs more. This isn't making him feel any better, so he adds even more animatronics, and even more to William's endless torment, such as Dee Dee, an animatronic who will appear to add even more animatronics in the mix at random, an animatronic William will learn to dread. But still, it's not enough. He's still so angry, vengeful. The suffering will never end. He will make sure it never ends, just like he's suffering. He allows Cassidy to haunt him, and she calls herself the one you should not have killed.
I am remade, but not by you, by the one you should not have killed.
Every day telling William, "I'm still here." William Afton deserves this, to suffer from his creations. Evan will never let Afton go.
Will never let you leave. Never let you rest.
The other animatronics purgatory laugh as Afton dies over and over and over again. Until one day in the void of death, Evan loses his footing, stumbles, and falls. He falls through the abyss and lands in dense trees surrounding a lake where he sees an old man fishing. Confused, Evan approaches the man, who then talks to him. Before Evan then realizes it's not actually an old man, it's a boy in a foxy mask. It's his older brother Michael Afton, sitting by a lake, fishing, forced to stare into the water while contemplating all his regrets and harboring all his guilt. Trying to help lost souls find peace, knowing his brother is struggling, Michael reaches a hand out to him, desperately wanting him to join Elizabeth. Come and sit with me a while. Leave the demons to his demons. Rest your own soul. There is nothing left. And with that, Evan finally breathes one last sigh of relief and steps into the water, where his soul, decades after the other children, finally manages to find peace. Henry died. William died. Dozens of missing children. Dozens of bodies. That should be the end of Fazbear's, right? Well, of course not. Years after the tragedies and closures, the lawsuits, and the ruined image of the company, Fazbear attempts to restart. People don't trust them, and so they attempt to rewrite the past. They pay millions and sweep everything under the rug, scrubbing it clean from any public scrutiny. They decide to turn it into a game, a virtual reality game where the consumer can feel like they're living through it themselves. This was a slap in the face to the victims, but the company didn't care. Where families saw pain and bloodshed, Fazbear Entertainment saw dollar signs, a way to sway public opinion and make the past seem like a game. They wanted a building too. They didn't want to be known as game devs. They wanted to make the building the biggest, the best, and the most profitable they had ever seen. So they partnered with a team to create a game titled Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator VR, more commonly known as Help Wanted. On this team they include a young woman, 23, named Vanessa, who comes from abusive parents and a troubled background, where her father cheated her mother out of custody in court, forcing Vanessa to lie about what was really happening behind the scenes, causing her mother to then end her life. Vanessa was hired on to help work on the new Fazbear game, along with a man named Jeremy, who was the main beta tester. But Fazbear, just like in the past, always cuts corners. Instead of just programming everything themselves with their dev team, they opt to just take old Fazbear hardware from the original locations, such as Murray's Costume Manor and the old animatronics, and scan it into their brand new systems. What could possibly go wrong? Everything. Everything could go wrong. Glitch trap. Something that wasn't supposed to be possible. Something that was never supposed to exist. A virus on the old hardware that now infected everything it touched. A version of the now deceased Springtrap. A yellow rabbit in a purple vest, smiling at you. Waving at you. Cheerful and strange. But behind those eyes is a ruthless killer. Behind those eyes is William Afton. But more importantly, the Mimic. Not a ghost, but the highly trained AI, which was still locked in the old basement of the Murray Manor and still attempting to break free. Mimicking the violence by the deceased William Afton and Edward Murray, capable of threats Fazbear had yet never seen before. The Mimic was damaged, a shell of its former self, and stuck. It needed a host, someone to help free it. While playtesting, Glitchtrap appears multiple times to Jeremy, tormenting him, whispering to him, and trying to get inside his head. Jeremy reports the issue multiple times, calling it an anomaly, but Fazbear shrugs it off as him going crazy. It's just a bug, his higher-ups say. Ignore it and keep playtesting the game. We have deadlines to hit. Jeremy complies, but becomes more restless as days go by. Vanessa notices and talks to him, but there's nothing she can do to calm him down. So Jeremy attempts to fix the game, to solve the bugs, but Fazbear doesn't like this. They want the game released as soon as possible. They want the revenue, and Jeremy is slowing them down. So they prepare to fire him. But Jeremy never backs down. He's seeing things, hearing things. It talks to him, tells him to do bad things, tells him he's going to die. He can't sleep. He has nightmares. The game isn't ready, he yells. But no one believes him. They tell him to pack his stuff and get out. The next morning, however, when Vanessa comes into work, she sees Jeremy wearing his VR headset and a mask hanging on the floor. She calls out to him and asks what he's doing here, but there's no response. She flips on the lights and screams. The floor is covered in blood. The walls covered in blood. His shirt stained. He was holding a paper slicer, his face lying on the floor. Vanessa staggers backwards. He had sliced his own skin off. Vanessa reports this, but finds out the company doesn't want to deal with it. They don't want the public scrutiny and the backlash, and they don't want the game delayed any further. They won't deal with the lawsuits. They tell her she needs to finish Jeremy's work and threaten her if she doesn't comply. Scared, Vanessa agrees, putting on the headset. Immediately, she sees the rabbit Jeremy was talking about. She panics, knowing Jeremy wasn't lying, knowing what it was capable of. But she fears Fazbear's, what they could do to her. They could ruin her life. She remembers how they treated Jeremy, so she remains quiet as she plays the game. She keeps voice recordings, however, during her playtesting for her own sanity. During this, however, Glitchtrap manages to attach itself to the undeletable tapes Vanessa had created. Now he's there for good, permanently, in a secret room inside of the game. So Vanessa destroys them, smashing them into pieces, cursing herself for creating them in the first place. It was too late, however. Far too late. Glitchtrap has entered Vanessa's mind. Glitchtrap is free. He slowly takes control of her head, her mind, making her do unforgivable things that she would never do, telling her what to think, what to do. Vanessa makes a rabbit suit for herself, wanting to join William and wanting to serve him, his reluctant follower. She then calls herself Vanny. Now she only has 2 tasks. Make William, aka the mimic version of William, an animatronic suit again, so he can walk by himself in the real world, so he can get revenge. And task 2, to kill anyone who gets remotely close to finding out what they're up to. Finally, after getting enough money from delivery services, merch, and the drop of their new video game, Fazbear manages to open up a massive mall, which they name Freddy Fazbear Pizzaplex. The problem is they don't know where to put it, so they look towards an abandoned Fazbear location, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, the one that had been burned to the ground, the one that had originally been built over Murray's Manor. No one was using it, right? They tear it down and decide to pop a megaplex on top of it. They sink billions into this investment with new animatronics, staff pods, staff, and attractions. This buries the old location for good. This is the biggest Fazbear establishment to date, and as to be expected, it was a The new animatronics include Glamrock Freddy, Glamrock Chica, Glamrock Bonnie, Roxy a wolf, and Montgomery a gator. The animatronics dance and sing on stage, and Vanessa secures a job as head of security, which we know she wasn't qualified for from several staff notes left around the building. This, however, lets her get nice and personal with the animatronics. She ignores them most of the time, but her eyes fall on one. Glued to one. Glamrock Bonnie. One night when the staff have left, she programs Bonnie to walk to Montgomery Golf and has Monty rip him apart, taking pieces of him down to the original diner underneath the Pizzaplex, where she won't be caught, and begins crafting a new body for William Afton, one that would be known as Burn Trap. Vanessa begins researching Remnant, which is what ties the children to the animatronic in the first place, and she researches ways to bring Glitchtrap into a physical form, using the technology at the location to attempt to do so. Meanwhile, Fazbear has no clue where Bonnie went, so they tell their staff to not talk about it and replace Monty as the head bass player of the band, to his delight. But things are going badly for Fazbear's. Extremely badly. children are disappearing again as Vanessa murders several kids attempting to extract Remnant and recreate haunted suits like William had done all those years ago. Quickly, Fazbear has to investigate, lie to the public, and sweep murder after murder under the rug. Meanwhile, while all this is happening, Vanessa checks herself into therapy. She thinks something is wrong. She has blackouts, things she can't remember. Even though Glitchtrap has taken over most of her mind, a small part of her is still there, fighting. She tells the therapist about Glitchtrap, about what she sees and what she hears. She feels like she's being controlled and pressured to commit horrible crimes from an outside force. Vanessa has been caught near the IT department multiple times as if she's communicating with someone, and she's been caught searching strange things online, such as material for the Vanny suit and researching the missing children cases from 1990. The therapist asks several questions, each one bringing her closer to what may be wrong with Vanessa, but Glitchtrap panics. He needs Vanessa. No one can know the truth. He needs a body. He needs to be set free. So he hacks the therapist's files, learning even more of Vanessa's information, and he uses this against her to manipulate her more before he then makes her kill her therapist. And her next one. And her next one after that.
Apparently, I'm the 4th therapist you've had. And apparently, all 3 of your former therapists have gone missing.
Where Glitchtrap then kills her as well. Vanessa is scared and losing complete control. She remembers less and less and commits worse and worse crimes, but Glitchtrap doesn't relent. He doesn't care who he hurts as long as he gets out one way or another. He manipulates her, gaslights her, and whispers lies into her ears. He tells her she's nothing. This is her purpose. No one will ever forgive her for what she did. And slowly, Vanessa loses herself to Vanny.
Why don't we come back to this another day? You're shaking your head as though that's not going to happen.
Several weeks pass, and one day, while performing on stage with the others, Glamrock Freddy has a malfunction, causing him to shut down. The show abruptly ends, and the animatronics are sent back to their rooms, where a homeless child named Gregory manages to hide inside his stomach cavity. Gregory has heard rumors about missing children and believes Fazbear is hiding dark secrets, so he manages to sneak inside the Pizzaplex and hide inside of Glamrock Freddy, where Freddy notices him upon rebooting into safe mode.
Showtime already? I am experiencing a malfunction. The recharge cycle is not complete.
Shh! Will you shut up?
Who said that?
I did!
Glamrock Freddy then attempts to help escort Gregory to the doors, but it's too late, as they close right in his face. Gregory is then forced to stay in the Pizzaplex all night, where he's then hunted down by nearly every animatronic, but more importantly, by Vanny.
I'll bet you think you're real clever, Gregory. Yeah, I know your name. You're in big trouble. This is not the night to be wasting my time. So, you are going to wait right there in Lost and Found until your parents or the police arrive.
Are you having fun yet?
Vanny wants to kill him, to keep experimenting with Remnant and children. So, Gregory hides, scared for his life, as she skips around, looking for him. Gregory is faster though, smarter. He won't die here. He manages to destroy Monty, causing a ball bin to fall on him, sending him crashing to the floor and breaking his legs. He smashes Chica in a food compactor, pushing her in after she rummages to grab pizza. And Roxy, he runs over with a car, slamming her against the wall. Gregory steals small pieces from them to upgrade Glamrock Freddy, who, for some reason, doesn't want to hurt him like the others. Eventually, after 6 grueling hours, Gregory makes a break for it, where sadly, Freddy tells him he cannot follow. Gregory turns back, contemplating his options before deciding to stay. The entire reason he had come was to figure out what happened to all those missing children, and they hadn't figured it out yet. After much time had passed, Gregory finds an elevator, leading down, where Freddy then tells him the elevator is only suitable for a one-way trip.
I know what this is. I have been here before. She brought me here. I found myself for the first time when I cleared the path. I did not want to, but I had no choice. Now I have a choice. I have changed. My friends are here. They are so angry, confused. But I can protect you. I am not me.
The original Fazbear location from all those years ago, where the massive fire and explosions tore through everything, killing the original founders and Michael Afton, Freddy starts behaving weirdly, showing signs of malfunction, almost like he's being possessed, as Glitchtrap, aka the Mimic, struggles attempting to throw Gregory off of his tail. But Gregory is persistent and manages to enter the same room Henry sat in on that fateful day before he lit the fire, killing everyone. But they're too late, and Vanny's already won. She successfully freed Glitchtrap using remnant and data she's stolen from the company. Burntrap steps out the charging pod, a recreated version of Springtrap, a mimicked, recreated version of William Afton himself. William is angry. He's enraged, who is mimicking emotions Afton would have felt. However, unknown to everyone at the time, Fazbear had been throwing all the old animatronics down here, the ones from previous locations. They hadn't needed anymore, and as time passed, they managed to build themselves up into a giant amalgamation. Knowing that Vanny was going to bring their tormentor back, they wanted to stop her. They wanted to help. And so they bid their time in the darkness, waiting. Burntrap refused to be bested by a child. He's fought too hard for this, killed too many people, to be stopped now, so he attacks, attempting to take over Glamrock Freddy again, just as he'd originally tried to do on the stage earlier. Gregory, however, is in the safe room, the one built by Henry Emily himself all those years ago, the one that controls fire to nearly every aspect of the building, and every time Burntrap gets close to taking over Freddy, Gregory hits a button, torching him, over and over and over again. Glitchtrap sends everything he can to Gregory, having the other animatronics attack him while he tries to advance on Freddy, but it's to no avail. Gregory is better. The amalgamation refused to see William hurt anyone anymore. They grab him by the throat, ripping him back into the darkness and destroy him again, where Freddy and Gregory escape the Pizzaplex and go on the run together, sitting on a hill in the sunlight. The same hill where the original 5 victims of William Afton were buried. Vanessa manages to escape, her mind finally free from Glitchtrap, where she runs away, never looking back. And for the first time in the series, the 3 of them live happily ever after. Gregory's voice calls out, desperate, trapped. Cassie, an old friend of his, doesn't hesitate. She enters the now ruined and abandoned Pizzaplex to save him. But something's wrong. There's no sign of Gregory. Just silence and rot. And then a voice again. His voice. Telling her to go deeper. Down to the pit, where something is waiting. A shattered staff bot offers her a mask. The Vanny mask. A tool for seeing what's real and what's not. A tool used by Glitchtrap to control Vanessa. Once it's on, the world changes. Rooms shift. Objects disappear, and voices echo through the walls, and the voice gets louder. She meets Helpy, a chipper-assisted AI who's always watching, even when the mask is off. And when he glitches, something else speaks through him. The animatronics are broken, burned, and starving. Glamrock Chica is melting. Monty stalks her from the sewers, but it's Roxy who remembers her. Roxy remembers her from the birthday party she had there earlier, when it was only her and Gregory.
I'm sorry. Error. Cassie, you remember me? I remember. Your special day.
Every time she slows down, catches her breath, or thinks to stop, Gregory's voice echoes to her, luring her deeper and deeper and deeper. Beneath the Pizzaplex lies a nightmare, buried and forgotten. The ruins of the FNaF 6 pizzeria, and underneath that, the ruins of Moray's Costume Manor, long forgotten all those decades ago. But more importantly, inside, the Mimic. The Mimic pretends to be trying to stop itself, keeping itself locked down while secretly it smiles in the shadows, waiting for someone to help it claw its way back up to the surface, waiting for Cassie to help it claw its way back up to the surface. Cassie slowly begins to find out the truth. Gregory was never there. The voice was stolen, used, mimicked. It was him all along. Until finally, after hours later, she hides in an elevator, and Gregory manages to break through the intercom.
That thing in the sinkhole tricked you. I really don't know what it is, but it's been trapped down here a really long time. The Mex's security program was designed to keep it hidden, but you shut down the security, and now it's free.
There's no escape for her, just different ways to lose, as the Mimic cuts off Gregory's voice.
It's not your fault. I know you did it for me, to save me, but we can't risk being followed. I'm sorry.
Gregory? No!
His voice turns cold. He says he's sorry. He says she can't be followed. And he drops her. But is that really him? Was it the Mimic, knowing it couldn't escape, knowing it was finally being stopped, and acting one last cruel jab at Cassie, because it knew she'd believe it was her friend who killed her, all along? It doesn't matter ever if you believe it was the Mimic, or if Gregory really betrayed her, Cassie's ending was always set in stone. In the end, she didn't fall because she was weak. She fell because she trusted the wrong voice. The end.